So one of the most common questions or requests really we get here on this channel is for us to backtest moving average crossovers. And it kind of makes sense because there's a ton of different variations of moving averages to test. And so people really want to find out what moving averages actually work for crossovers and which ones we should ignore. And that's precisely what we're going to look at in today's video. We're going to try to find the best moving average to trade crossovers with. And in today's video, we're starting with the 20 and 50 EMAs. We decided on these because they're long enough term to have some good sentiment changes when they actually cross over or under each other, but they're short enough term and they're popular enough to get some decent results and have enough traders actually watching for the crossover itself. If you don't understand the logic behind crossovers, the basic logic is this: when the long-term average crosses under the short term, that's usually indicative of upward or bullish movement, and if the short-term moving average crosses under the long term, that's indicative of downward or bearish movement. Traders like to use moving average crossovers to try to predict direction, and that's what we're looking at in today's video. And so again, just to restate that, in this video and testing session, when the long-term 50 EMA moving average crosses under the short-term 20 EMA, we're going to look for upward or bullish movement, and vice versa. When the short-term 20 EMA crosses under the long-term 50, we're going to look for downward or bearish movement, if that makes sense. Just like in previous episodes, in this situation we're using the IO or tally method of backtesting, and with this we establish a success and failure level and then go back and tally up how many times it succeeds versus fails by giving it an I if it works and an O if it doesn't work. That way, not only do we document the accuracy rate of this setup or strategy, but we can also get a broader understanding of the most favorable conditions in which these strategies actually work. We've done this many times before here on this channel, and it usually gives us really solid information on these specific strategies. And really, the most important thing with this testing is not the accuracy rate. It's actually the conditions in which this strategy actually works, because again, a lot of different strategies will work under the right conditions. You just got to figure out what those actually are, and that is the ultimate goal of today's video. And so with all that said and out the way, leave us a comment if you have any questions about this backtesting, and let's take a look at the backtesting end results now. Okay, so we got a ton of great information from this backtesting session. There's a lot of really useful things and specifically conditions that we can use with this setup, the moving average crossover, to add to our trading system. There's a lot of conditions actually where this setup and strategy works exceptionally well, and so that's what we're going to look at now. Before we take a look at that though, understand that I can't guarantee that any of these setups or strategies will work for you. A lot of the time it's about the trader, and so make sure you understand that moving forward. I did test this strategy with both penny stocks and large caps with AMD, and we got some mixed results with both of these. With penny stocks, we had a total of 32 crossovers, with 24 of them being successful and 8 failures, giving it an accuracy rate of 75%. And again, this is with high volume, so only in moves that had over 200,000 shares traded per minute. And honestly, you gotta wait for good volume with these setups. With penny stocks, it's all about volume, and so if you get yourself stuck trading low volume moves, it's simply not going to be as favorable for for your trading, and you're going to lose a lot because low volume equals fake outs. Now, moving on to larger cap stocks, we got a little bit more interesting results here. It only worked 55% of the time on AMD, but if you take away the choppy days, it worked 79% of the time on red to green or green to red reversals. And these are my favorite styles of trading. If you look for a stock that opens up really strong, reverses really quickly, and then pulls the crossover there on the downside, it continues in that downward trend a huge percentage of the time. We also saw a very similar thing on the upside. When a stock opens up downward under the VWAP and it looks really weak, and then it reverses, breaks over the VWAP level with volume coming in, and it holds the VWAP level, but we see that crossover either right before or after the break over the VWAP, it's going to continue in that specific upward direction a ton of the time. And so it's a really good trend changing, sentiment changing thing that we can pick up here with the moving average crossover. And again, I noticed this with both penny stocks and larger cap stocks. To help you further understand what conditions and basically what strategies these crossovers actually work the best on, I'm going to review two different examples on both penny stocks and larger caps so you can understand what strategy and ultimately what setup works the best with this moving average combination. So for my penny stock example, I'm looking at FAMI and I'm looking at it on September 29th. You can see we talked about the U-shaped breakout pattern in our last video, and using it with this moving average crossover can be exceptionally powerful. If we look at FAMI, it was trending below the VWAP almost all day in this specific example, and you can see before we even got the break over the VWAP, we can see the moving averages cross over or under each other, indicating upward or bullish movement. After that, we got really nice volume showing up, and we had this really nice and upward bullish trend after that. And so what this moving average crossover accurately predicted was the sentiment change. Again, before this, FAMI was hanging out underneath the VWAP. Eventually, once it crossed over, that sentiment started to change. It started to break over the VWAP, and we got this really nice breakout on the upside after that. And so using this moving average crossover, we were able to accurately predict the sentiment change and reversal on FAMI by again waiting for it to cross over, waiting for it to break over VWAP, and then looking for the breakout after that. It seems like a really powerful strategy if you can wait for this type of U-shaped breakout and use it with the 20 and 50 EMA crossover. To give you an example of trading this strategy on a larger cap stock like AMD, you can see a very similar thing. Again, in this specific example on the 27th of September, you can see AMD open up pretty weak and maintain below the VWAP. We can see the cross over the VWAP, and we can see that moving average crossover after that. That's usually pretty indicative of bullish movement, and after that happened, you can see the complete sentiment change. You can see it start moving up to test previous highs, and we got a really nice breakout all the way up to the 108 level after the crossover. I think if you're going to target this moving average crossover with reversals on the upside, one thing that you should really look for is a test of the previous opening range high and the previous high of the day. If the stock can do the crossover and then move up to test that level, a lot of the time it's eventually going to make another push and break of that previous high, and if you jump in on a pullback right before that, it can be really powerful. You could also look at this strategy on the downside as well, and honestly, this is probably my favorite way to approach this setup or strategy. You look for a stock to open up really strong on the upside above the VWAP level. You look for a very quick and big breakdown under the VWAP, and you look for the crossover there. Once that happens, that can really show you that it's going to continue in a downward trend. Of course, it's not going to work 100% of the time, but looking for that crossover and trying to identify the sentiment change that comes with it, again, as these results show, can be super powerful if you use them correctly under the right discipline. Anyways, team, that's it for this one. Remember, if you want to see more content like this or any other strategies back tested, leave us a comment right now in this video. Also, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to help support your favorite trading YouTuber. Good luck in the market, guys. Remember, we can't guarantee any of these setups or strategies will work for you, and always stay safe. We'll see you all next time.